The Alpha's Forbidden Mate, a Werewolf Shifter. Romance Audiobook by Dora's Romance Audiobooks. Hello, my lovely listeners. This is Dora, and welcome back to Dora's Romance Audiobooks, where passion meets destiny and love conquers all. Today's story is absolutely delicious, forbidden love at its finest. We're talking about a connection so powerful it defies ancient laws, pack traditions, and everything our characters have ever been taught. This is the Alpha's Forbidden Mate. If you're new here, welcome to the pack. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. And to my loyal listeners, you know the drill. I want to hear all your thoughts in the comments. Now, grab your coziest blanket, maybe a cup of tea, and prepare yourself for a love story that will make your heart race and your soul ache in the best possible way. Let's begin. Prologue. The Ancient Law, Maya. They say some laws are written in stone. Others are written in blood. The law that would destroy my life was written in both. I stood in the shadows of the Great Hall, watching the Council of Alphas convene for the first time in 50 years. My father, Alpha Marcus of the Shadow Moon Pack, sat at the head table, his face carved from granite, every inch the warrior leader our pack needed. Beside him sat the other Alphas, and at the far end, drawing every eye in the room like a magnet, sat him, Alpha Kade Blackwood of the Bloodstone Pack. Even from across the crowded hall, his presence was overwhelming. 6.5 feet of pure dominance, with jet black hair, sharp features that could have been carved by the moon goddess herself, and eyes the color of amber fire. He was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure, and he was my enemy. The feud between Shadow Moon and Bloodstone was ancient, stretching back 300 years to a betrayal no one quite remembered, but everyone still honored. Our packs didn't just dislike each other. We were forbidden from even setting foot on each other's territories. Intermarriage was unthinkable. Even friendship was considered treason. And mating? That was punishable by death. "The council is called to order," the High Elder announced, his voice echoing through the hall. "We gather to address the growing threat of the hunters. They've become organized, armed with silver and wolfsbane, and they're targeting our pack systematically." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The hunters had always existed, but lately they'd grown bold. Packs had been slaughtered, entire bloodlines wiped out. "We must unite," another Alpha called out. "Set aside old grievances and present a unified front." "Easy to say," my father responded, his voice cold. "But some wounds are too deep to heal. Some betrayals too great to forgive." His eyes cut to Kade Blackwood, and I saw the muscle in Kade's jaw tighten. But he didn't rise to the bait. Instead, he stood, commanding immediate attention. "Alpha Marcus is right," Kade said, his voice smooth as smoke and twice as dangerous. "The past cannot be forgotten, but it can be set aside for survival. I propose a truce. Not friendship, not alliance, just an agreement not to fight each other while we have a common enemy." The hall erupted in argument. I should have been listening to the politics, the negotiations, the careful dance of pack dynamics. But I couldn't look away from him. And then, as if he felt my gaze, Kade Blackwood's amber eyes found mine across the crowded hall. Time stopped. The world narrowed to just the two of us as something slammed into my chest with the force of a physical blow. My wolf, usually quiet and submissive, surged to the surface with a howl of recognition that echoed through my very soul. "Mate? No. No, no, no. This couldn't be happening. Of all the wolves in all the packs in the Northern Territory, the moon goddess couldn't possibly be cruel enough to." But I saw the recognition in Kade's eyes, too. Saw them widen with shock, then flash with something that looked like pain. His nostrils flared, and I knew he was scenting me across the distance, confirming what we both already knew. We were fated mates, and we were completely, utterly doomed. Kade's expression hardened into a mask of cold indifference. He deliberately turned away, severing our gaze. When he spoke again, his voice was steady, betraying nothing of the bomb that had just detonated between us. But I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, could only stand there as my entire world crumbled around me. Because I knew the law, every wolf knew the law. A shadow moon wolf mating with a bloodstone wolf was the highest treason. The punishment was execution, not just for the mated pair, but for their families as well. My father would die because of this bond. My pack would be shamed. And Kade, Alpha of Bloodstone, heir to 3 centuries of hatred, would lose everything. The mate bond pulsed between us, a golden thread trying desperately to pull us together. My wolf was whimpering, clawing to get to him, not understanding why I was fighting her. I had to run, had to get out of this hall before anyone noticed, before anyone scented the mate bond forming. But as I turned to flee, my father's hand caught my arm. "Maya, what's wrong? You've gone pale." "Nothing," I lied, my voice barely steady. "I just need some air." He studied me with those sharp alpha eyes that saw too much. Then his gaze cut across the hall to where Kade Blackwood was staring at us with barely contained intensity. My father's grip tightened. "No," he breathed, understanding dawning in his eyes. "Tell me it isn't true." I couldn't answer, couldn't form the words that would break his heart. But my silence was answer enough. "Get out," he said quietly, his voice deadly calm. "Get out of this hall. Go to your room and do not leave it. We will discuss this later." I ran. Behind me, I heard shouting, felt Kade's eyes on my back, felt the mate bond stretching and straining as I put distance between us. But I didn't stop until I reached my room, slamming the door and collapsing against it. This was supposed to be the happiest moment of a wolf's life. Finding your fated mate, the other half of your soul. Instead, it was a death sentence. For both of us. Chapter 1. The Decision. 3 days. 3 days since the council. Since my world turned upside down. Since I'd been confined to my room like a prisoner. I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling the mate bond pulse with every heartbeat. It was torture. Every instinct I had screamed at me to go to him, to find Kade, to complete what the moon goddess had started. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. A sharp knock interrupted my spiraling thoughts. My father entered without waiting for permission, his face grim. "We need to talk," he said, closing the door behind him. I sat up slowly. "Father, Is it true?" His voice was strained. "Is Kade Blackwood your fated mate?" There was no point in lying. "Yes." He closed his eyes, pain flashing across his features. When he opened them again, they were hard. "Then you know what must be done." "I'll reject him," I said quickly. "I'll find him, perform the rejection ceremony, sever the bond. No one else has to know. It's too late for that." He moved to the window, hands clasped behind his back. The bond was witnessed. Other wolves felt it, scented it. The council knows, and they're demanding justice. My blood ran cold. What kind of justice? "Execution," he said flatly, "for both of you. To be carried out at the next full moon, 3 weeks from now. Unless..." He trailed off. "Unless what?" He turned to face me, and I saw something I'd never seen before in my alpha father's eyes. Fear. "Unless one of you formally rejects the other and accepts banishment instead. The council has agreed to spare your lives if you never see each other again. Ever." "Banishment?" I whispered. "For how long?" "Forever. You'd be packless, rogues. You'd have to leave the Northern Territory entirely and never return. And you'd still have to complete the rejection ceremony to sever the mate bond, or it would drive you both mad with longing." The room spun. Packless. The thought was horrifying. Wolves weren't meant to be alone. We needed the pack bonds, the connection to our family and community. Without them, we'd be hollow shells of ourselves. But it was better than death. "I'll do it," I said. "I'll reject him and leave." "Maya. It's the only way, isn't it?" I stood, forcing steel into my voice. I'll reject Kade Blackwood, accept banishment, and leave. He can stay with his pack, keep his position as Alpha. This is my choice. My father's face softened slightly. You barely know him. Why would you sacrifice everything for a mate you've never even spoken to? Because the bond was already singing through my veins. Because even 3 days of feeling his presence in the back of my mind had shown me glimpses of who he was. Honorable, strong, carrying the weight of his pack with quiet dignity. Because my wolf was howling at the thought of losing him, but howling louder at the thought of him dying because of me. Because it's the right thing to do, I said simply. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. The council has arranged for you and Alpha Blackwood to meet tomorrow night, neutral ground. You'll perform the rejection ceremony there, witnessed by the High Elder. And then, his voice cracked slightly, and then you'll leave. I've arranged for a safe passage to the Western Territories. You'll have enough money to start over. Okay. The word felt like glass in my throat. I'm sorry, little wolf, he said, using his childhood name for me. You deserved better than this. Better than our stupid, ancient grudges ruining your chance at happiness. He left before I could respond, and I was alone again with the mate bond in my breaking heart. That night I felt Kade through the bond more strongly than ever. I sensed his rage, his pain, his desperate attempts to find another solution. I felt the moment he realized there was none. And I felt his grief, deep and profound, as he accepted what had to happen. I'm sorry, I thought, hoping somehow he could feel it. I'm so sorry. And like an echo, I felt his response. So am I, little wolf. So am I. Chapter 2. The meeting. The neutral ground was an ancient stone circle deep in the forest, halfway between our territories. I arrived first, my father and a small guard detail escorting me. The High Elder was already there, his ceremonial robes fluttering in the wind, his expression unreadable. Alpha Marcus, he greeted. Is she ready? She is, my father answered when I couldn't. Then I felt it, a pull so strong it nearly brought me to my knees, the mate bond blazing to life, burning through every nerve ending. Kade Blackwood emerged from the tree line. Up close, he was even more devastating. The amber eyes that had haunted my dreams, the strong jaw clenched with tension, the broad shoulders that looked like they carried the weight of the world. His scent hit me like a physical force, pine and smoke and something wild that made my wolf whimper. Our eyes locked, and for a moment everything else ceased to exist. Alpha Blackwood, the High Elder said. You understand the terms? One of you must formally reject the mate bond, and both must accept permanent banishment from the Northern Territory. I understand. Kade's voice was rough, strained. His eyes never left mine. But there's been a change of plans. My father stiffened. What change? I'm the one who will perform the rejection and accept banishment, Kade said. Not her. No, the word burst from me. We agreed. You agreed. He cut me off, finally looking at my father. I didn't. Maya is young, barely 21. Her whole life is here. Her family, her pack, everything she's ever known. I won't let her throw that away. You're an alpha, my father argued. Your pack needs you. My pack has a strong beta who can lead in my absence. Kade's jaw tightened. But Maya doesn't have that choice. She's not the heir. If she leaves, she loses everything and gains nothing. At least if I leave, my pack will survive. He was willing to give up everything for me. A mate he'd never even spoken to. Never touched. Never kissed. The nobility of it made my chest ache. Both of you will be silent, the High Elder commanded. The council has made its decision. The rejection will be performed by Maya, as originally planned. Alpha Blackwood will remain with his pack. This is not negotiable. Then I refuse, Kade said coldly. I won't accept her rejection. The clearing went silent. Refusing to accept a rejection meant the bond would remain, dormant but unbroken. It meant torture for both of us, feeling the mate bond but never being able to complete it. "If you refuse her rejection, you both die," the High Elder said. "Those are the terms." "Then we die." Kade's voice was steel. His eyes found mine again, amber fire burning through me. "If the choice is between living without her or not living at all, I choose death. At least then we'll be together in the next life." My father exploded. "This is madness. You've never even had a conversation? You'd throw away everything for a stranger?" "She's not a stranger," Kade said quietly. "She's my mate, the other half of my soul, and I can feel her through this bond, her courage, her kindness, her strength. I know her in ways that have nothing to do with words, and I will not let her sacrifice herself for me." "Enough." I stepped forward, my voice shaking but determined. "Both of you, stop! You're acting like I don't have a choice in this." I turned to face Kade fully for the first time. Up close, the mate bond was overwhelming. I could feel everything. His desperation, his fierce protectiveness, his bone-deep certainty that saving me was worth any cost. "I appreciate what you're trying to do," I said softly, "but this is my decision, and I choose to reject you and accept banishment. Because you're right, I can feel you too. Through this bond, I know you're a good alpha, a good man. Your pack loves you, depends on you. I won't be responsible for taking that away from them. Maya, please." I placed my hand over his heart, feeling it thunder beneath my palm. The first touch sent electricity through both of us, and he inhaled sharply. "Please don't make this harder than it already is. Accept my rejection. Let me do this one thing to protect you." His hand came up to cover mine, and the contact was everything, perfect and painful, and unbearably right. "I can't," he said hoarsely. "I can't let you go." "You have to." Tears were streaming down my face now, "because I'm going to do it anyway. And if you don't accept, we both die. At least this way, one of us survives. At least this way, you get to live, lead your pack, maybe even find happiness someday. There's no happiness without you." The words broke something inside me, but I forced myself to step back, to break the contact, to turn to the High Elder. "I'm ready," I said. "Let's begin." The rejection ceremony was ancient, brutal in its simplicity. I had to speak the words while looking into Kade's eyes, while feeling the mate bond between us. "I, Maya Ashford of the Shadow Moon Pack," my voice cracked, but I forced myself to continue, "reject you, Kade Blackwood of the Bloodstone Pack, as my fated mate. I sever our bond. I release you from all claims and all ties. You are no longer mine, and I am no longer yours." The words felt like acid, burning through my chest. The mate bond screamed in protest, the golden thread between us beginning to fray. Kade's face was a mask of agony. "I don't accept. You have to." I was sobbing now, not caring who saw. "Please, Kade, please, I can't watch you die. I can't. So please, please accept this. Let me save you the only way I can." He stared at me for a long moment, amber eyes swimming with unshed tears. Then, slowly, he nodded. "I, Kade Blackwood of the Bloodstone Pack, accept your rejection." Each word seemed torn from his throat. "I release you from our bond. You are no longer mine." The mate bond shattered. The pain was indescribable. It felt like someone had ripped my heart out and shattered it against the stones. I collapsed, screaming, feeling the golden thread dissolve into nothing. Through my agony, I heard Kade roar, a sound of pure anguish that echoed through the forest. Then his arms were around me, and he was holding me as we both broke apart. "I've got you," he whispered brokenly against my hair. "I've got you, little wolf. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry," I managed through sobs. Just promise me you'll live. Promise me you'll be happy." "I promise to live," he said. "But happy? Without you? That's a promise I can't make." The High Elder cleared his throat. "It's done. Maya Ashford, You have 24 hours to leave the Northern Territory. You are hereby banished. Any attempt to return will result in execution." My father stepped forward, his face carved from stone, but his eyes wet. "Maya, Don't," I said, pushing away from Kade and standing on shaky legs. "Just don't. I need to go." I ran from the stone circle, from the shattered remains of my mate bond, from everything I'd ever known. Behind me, I heard Kade's howl of grief, and I knew, with terrible certainty, that this wasn't the end of our story. It was just the beginning. Chapter 3. 3 months later, the Western Territories were nothing like home. I'd found work in a small human town, renting a room above a bookshop and trying desperately to rebuild something resembling a life. Without the pack bonds, without my wolf being able to run free, it was illegal to shift in human territories. I felt hollow, incomplete. But I survived. Because that's what I'd promised Kade I'd do. I tried not to think about him. Tried not to remember the feeling of his arms around me, the sound of his voice, the amber fire of his eyes. But the shattered mate bond ached like a phantom limb, a constant reminder of what I'd lost. Tonight, I was closing up the bookshop alone when I heard it. Howling. Wolf howls close by. Too close. I froze, my wolf stirring for the first time in weeks. That wasn't possible. There were no packs in this human town, no wolves for hundreds of miles. Unless someone had followed me. The door burst open. 3 rogues, rough, scarred, with the wild eyes of wolves who'd lost their humanity, stalked inside. "Well, well," the leader said, his voice gravelly. "What do we have here? A little lone wolf, far from home. We could smell you from miles away, princess. All alone, unprotected. You're practically begging to be claimed." I backed up slowly, reaching for the phone to call for help. But the leader moved with supernatural speed, knocking it from my hand. "No calling for rescue," he sneered. "We're going to have some fun with you first. And then, maybe if you're lucky, we'll let you live as our pack's little toy." My wolf snarled, rising to the surface. I might be packless, but I was still an Alpha's daughter. I'd been trained to fight. I shifted instantly, a taboo in human territory, but I had no choice. My wolf form smaller and more agile than theirs. I lunged for the leader's throat. The fight was brutal and chaotic. I managed to injure one rogue badly enough that he retreated, but there were too many of them. They were stronger, more experienced, and they were working together. Just when I thought it was over, when the leader had me pinned and was reaching for my throat, he suddenly flew backward. A massive black wolf with amber eyes had entered the fight. Kade. He was magnificent and terrifying, tearing through the rogues with the savage efficiency of an alpha protecting his mate. Despite the rejection, despite the broken bond, he fought for me with a ferocity that took my breath away. The rogues didn't stand a chance. Within minutes they were either dead or fleeing, and Kade was shifting back to human form. "Are you hurt?" he demanded, his hands running over me, checking for injuries, gentle despite the adrenaline still pumping through him. I shifted back, suddenly very aware that we were both naked, and his hands were on my bare skin. "I'm fine. What are you doing here?" "Saving you, apparently." His voice was harsh, but his touch remained gentle as he examined a cut on my shoulder. "This is exactly what I was afraid of. You're out here alone, unprotected, and every rogue in the territory knows it. I can take care of myself, clearly." He stepped back, jaw tight. "That's why I found you about to be murdered." Anger flared through me. "You're not supposed to be here. The banishment was for you, not me." He cut me off. "I'm still Alpha of Bloodstone. I can go wherever I want." "Then what are you doing in the Western Territories? How did you even find me?" His eyes met mine, and the intensity there stole my breath. "I've been tracking you since the day you left, staying far enough away that you wouldn't notice, close enough to protect you. Did you really think I'd just let you disappear into the world alone?" My heart clenched. "Kade, you can't. The Council." can go to hell." He moved closer, and despite everything, my traitorous body responded. "I don't care about their laws anymore, Maya. I don't care about the feud, or the politics, or any of it. All I care about is keeping you safe." We rejected each other. The bond is broken. "Is it?" His voice dropped to a whisper. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I didn't, his fingers traced my jawline with devastating gentleness. "Because I can still feel you. Every day, every moment. The bond is damaged, but it's not gone. Tell me you don't feel it too." I did. God help me, I did. Even with the rejection, even with the pain and the distance, I could still sense him. Like a song played too quietly to make out the words, but loud enough to know it's there. "Feeling it doesn't matter," I said, even as I leaned into his touch. "Nothing's changed. We're still forbidden. Still impossible." "Then I'll spend my life doing the impossible." His thumb brushed over my lower lip, and I shivered. "Maya, I've tried to stay away. Tried to do the honorable thing and let you build a new life. But watching you struggle alone, seeing you in danger, I can't do it anymore. I can't keep pretending that my life has meaning without you in it. Your pack is strong and well led by my beta. I've been managing from a distance. They don't need me there every day." He cupped my face with both hands now, forcing me to meet his eyes. "But I need you. Every moment of every day. And I hope, you might need me too." Tears were streaming down my face. "Of course I need you. You're my mate, even if we can never..." He kissed me. The world exploded. Despite the broken bond, despite the rejection, despite everything. The moment his lips met mine, it felt like coming home. The damaged bond between us roared to life, not fully healed, but definitely not dead. I kissed him back desperately, my hands tangling in his hair, 3 months of loneliness and longing pouring into this one perfect, forbidden moment. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Kade rested his forehead against mine. "Run away with me," he whispered. "What?" "Run away with me. We'll go somewhere the council can't reach us. Somewhere we can be together without worrying about ancient feuds or pack politics. We'll build our own life, our own happiness. Kade, you're an alpha. Your pack needs you. My pack will survive. My second in command is ready to take over officially." His hands slid down to my waist, pulling me closer. "But I won't survive without you. These 3 months have been torture. Please, Maya, choose us. Choose this." It was madness, reckless and irresponsible and completely impossible. And yet, as I looked into those amber eyes, felt his heart beating against mine, sensed the broken bond trying so hard to repair itself, I knew what my answer would be. "Okay," I whispered. "Yes." His smile was like the sun breaking through storm clouds. "Yes?" "Yes. But Kade, if we do this, there's no going back. Your pack, my father, the council, they'll hunt us. We'll be rogues, outlaws. I don't care." He kissed me again, softer this time. "As long as I'm with you, little wolf, I have everything I need." We left that night, abandoning the bookshop and everything I'd built, heading deeper into territories where pack law didn't reach. And for the first time since the rejection ceremony, I felt something other than pain. I felt hope. Chapter 4. The Hunter's Trap. 2 weeks of stolen happiness. That's what we got before everything fell apart. Kade and I had been living in a remote cabin deep in the mountains, far from any pack territory. We spent our days exploring the forest, hunting, and slowly learning each other in ways the mate bond should have allowed us from the beginning. He was everything I'd hoped for and more. Strong but gentle, protective but respectful, passionate in ways that made my toes curl and my heart race. The broken bond was healing, slowly but surely, stitching itself back together with every kiss, every touch, every moment we spent together. I should have known it was too good to last. I woke before dawn to find Kade's side of the bed cold. Frowning, I wrapped a blanket around myself and padded to the window. He was outside in wolf form, pacing the perimeter like he sensed something wrong. Then I smelled it. Silver and wolfsbane. The unmistakable scent of hunters. I shifted and ran outside just as arrows began to rain down from the trees. Kade howled a warning, but it was too late. One arrow grazed my flank, and the wolfsbane on its tip sent agony screaming through my nervous system. I collapsed, unable to shift back, barely able to move. Through pain-hazed eyes, I saw figures emerge from the forest. At least 20 hunters, all armed with silver weapons and net launchers. Kade went feral. I'd never seen anything like it. He moved like death itself, tearing through hunters with savage precision. But there were too many, and they'd planned well. Silver nets caught him mid-lunge, the metal burning into his skin as he thrashed. "Got them both!" one hunter called out. "Alpha Blackwood and his little mate. The council's going to pay handsomely for these two." The council? They'd hired hunters to capture us. "No," I tried to say, but wolfsbane made speech impossible. They hauled us into separate cages loaded onto trucks. The last thing I saw before darkness claimed me was Kade's amber eyes, full of rage and desperation and a promise. "I will get us out of this." I woke in a cell. Stone walls, silver bars, and the overwhelming stench of fear and old blood. Other wolves were here too. I could hear them whimpering in the darkness. "Maya!" Kade's voice hoarse and strained. "Maya, answer me!" "I'm here," I managed, my throat raw. "Where are we?" "Hunter compound. They're taking us back to the Northern Territory tomorrow. The council wants to make an example of us, a public execution to show what happens when wolves defy pack law." My blood ran cold. How long was I out? 3 days. They've been keeping you sedated with wolfsbane. His voice dropped. "Maya, listen to me. When they transport us, they'll separate us. You need to shift the moment you can and run. Don't look back. Don't wait for me. Just run. I'm not leaving you. You have to. No." I gripped the bars separating our cells, ignoring the burn of silver. "We're in this together, remember? You promised me that. We don't run from each other. We run toward each other." Silence. Then, "You're going to get us both killed with that stubborn loyalty." "Probably." I smiled despite everything. "But at least we'll die together." "Not if I can help it," a new voice said. I spun to find a woman standing outside my cell, tall, scarred, with eyes that had seen too much. She wore hunter gear, but something about her felt different. "Who are you?" Kade demanded. "Someone who thinks the council is on the wrong side of history," she said, pulling out keys. "My name is Sarah. I'm a hunter, yes, but I'm also a human who's seen what your kind can be at your best. And this, punishing 2 wolves for falling in love, is barbaric." She opened my cell, then moved to Kade's. "I'm giving you a chance to escape. There's a vehicle outside, keys in the ignition. Head south to the port city. I have contacts there who can get you onto a ship heading to Europe. Different continents, different laws. The council won't be able to touch you." "Why would you help us?" I asked, suspicious even as hope bloomed. "Because I had a daughter once." Her voice was thick with grief. "She fell in love with a wolf. The council ordered him executed, and she died trying to save him. So now I save who I can, when I can. Call it penance." She thrust clothes and weapons at us. "You have maybe 10 minutes before the guard change. Run now, and don't waste this chance. Don't let my daughter's death be meaningless." Kade grabbed her hand. "Thank you. Thank me by surviving. Now go." We ran. Behind us, alarms started blaring. Shouts echoed through the compound. But we were already out, already shifting, already running through the forest like our lives depended on it. Because they did. We found the vehicle, a beat-up truck that coughed to life. Kade drove while I kept watch, and we didn't speak until we were miles away, the compound just a bad memory in the rearview mirror. Europe, I said finally. We're really going to run to Europe? Unless you have a better idea. He glanced at me, amber eyes intense even in the dim light. Maya, this is your last chance. If we do this, we can never come back. Never see our families, never rejoin pack society. We'll be exiles forever. I reached over, lacing my fingers with his. The broken mate bond pulsed, stronger now than it had been even a week ago. Being together was healing it, slowly but surely. Home isn't a place, I said. It's wherever you are. So yes, let's go to Europe. Let's build a life somewhere the council can't reach us. And maybe, someday, we can come back and change these stupid laws so no one else has to run. He brought my hand to his lips, kissing my knuckles. I love you, Maya Ashford. I know we haven't said it yet, but I need you to know. I love you more than pack, more than pride, more than life itself. Tears blurred my vision. I love you too, Kade Blackwood. Even when I thought I'd never see you again, even when the bond was broken, I loved you. We drove through the night, racing toward the port city and the ship that would carry us to freedom. But as dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber, I felt something shift. The mate bond flared, bright and strong and whole. Kade, I breathed. The bond, I feel it, he said, wonder in his voice. It's completely healed. We're fully mated again. Despite the rejection, despite the distance and the pain, love had won. The mate bond, broken but never destroyed, had finally repaired itself. And somehow, I knew the moon goddess was smiling. Chapter 5. The Port City. The port city was a sprawling maze of markets, warehouses, and ships from every corner of the world. We arrived just as the sun climbed over the water, painting everything in shades of gold. Kade parked the truck in a shadowy alley, and we made our way toward the docks on foot, keeping to the crowds where we could blend in. Sarah said to find Captain Reeves at Dock 17, Kade murmured, his hand at the small of my back, protective and possessive. He supposedly owes her a favor. We found the dock easily enough. The ship was smaller than I'd expected, weathered but well-maintained. A grizzled man with salt and pepper hair was overseeing the loading of cargo. Captain Reeves? Kade called out. The man turned, his eyes sharp and assessing. Depends on who's asking. Sarah sent us, I said quietly. She said you could help. Recognition flickered across his face, followed by resignation. Of course she did. That woman collects favors like some people collect stamps. He gestured for us to follow him onto the ship. You're the wolves the council's hunting, aren't you? Heard the news over the radio. They're offering quite the bounty. My heart sank. If this is too risky... I didn't say I wouldn't help, he interrupted. Just stating facts. Sarah saved my daughter from a rogue attack 5 years ago. I owe her my life, which means I owe you passage. But you need to understand, the council's reach extends far. Even in Europe, you'll need to be careful. He led us below deck to a small cabin. We leave in 2 hours. Stay here until we're clear of territorial waters. I'll bring you food and water. After he left, the reality of what we were doing finally hit me. I sank onto the narrow bunk, suddenly exhausted. Hey, Kade knelt before me, taking my hands. Talk to me. What's going on in that beautiful head of yours? I'm scared, I admitted. Not of running. Not of Europe. I'm scared that this happiness is temporary. That the council will find a way to tear us apart again. They won't. His voice was fierce, certain. Maya, look at me. The mate bond is fully healed. We're whole again. That means something. The moon goddess herself chose us for each other, and she wouldn't have done that if we weren't meant to overcome this. You really believe that? I have to. He cupped my face, amber eyes burning into mine. Because the alternative, living in a world where we can't be together, isn't living at all. I kissed him then, pouring every ounce of love and fear and hope into it. He responded with equal passion, his arms wrapping around me, pulling me close until there was no space between us. The ship's horn blew, signaling our departure. As the vessel pulled away from the dock, leaving the Northern Territory behind, I felt something inside me settle. We were free. But freedom, I was about to learn, came with its own price. Chapter 6. The Pursuit. 3 days at sea, and I should have felt safe. Instead, my wolf was restless, pacing beneath my skin like she sensed danger approaching. Kade felt it too. I could see it in the tension of his shoulders, the way his eyes constantly scanned the horizon. "Something's wrong," I said as we stood on deck, watching the sunset paint the water crimson. "I know." His arm tightened around my waist. "I've been feeling it all day, like we're being watched." Captain Reeves approached, his expression grim. "We have a problem. Another ship has been following us since this morning. They're flying council colors." My blood ran cold. How did they find us so fast? "Someone must have talked," Kade growled. "We need to—" The explosion rocked the ship, sending us sprawling across the deck. I scrambled to my feet in time to see the pursuing vessel drawing alongside us, grappling hooks flying. Council warriors began boarding, at least 30 of them, all armed and clearly prepared for a fight. "Kade Blackwood, Maya Ashford," a voice boomed across the water. I recognized the speaker, Beta Marcus from my father's pack, his face twisted with righteous fury. "Surrender now, and we'll make your deaths quick. Resist, and you'll wish we'd killed you immediately." "Over my dead body," Kade snarled, his wolf rising to the surface. "That can be arranged," Beta Marcus signaled his warriors forward. The fight was brutal. Kade shifted instantly, his massive black wolf form tearing into the warriors with devastating efficiency. I shifted too, smaller but faster, using my agility to my advantage. But we were outnumbered, and the warriors kept coming. Captain Reeves and his crew tried to help, but they were human. No match for supernatural strength. I took down 3 warriors before I felt it. A silver dart in my flank, wolfsbane burning through my system. My legs gave out, and I collapsed on the deck, barely able to move. "Maya!" Kade's roar of anguish echoed across the ship. He tried to reach me, but 5 warriors tackled him simultaneously, silver chains wrapping around his massive form. Beta Marcus stood over me, his face cold. "Your father sends his regards, Maya. He wanted you to know that he'll grieve you as he would any traitor." The words cut deeper than any blade. "Don't talk to her," Kade snarled, struggling against his chains. "If you're going to kill us, just do it." "Oh, we're not killing you yet." Beta Marcus smiled cruelly. "The council wants you brought back alive. They're planning a spectacle, a public execution to remind all wolves what happens when you defy pack law. They're calling it the Traitor's End. Catchy, don't you think?" He grabbed me by the scruff, ignoring my weak attempts to bite him. "Take them both. And someone sink this ship. Leave no witnesses." "No!" Captain Reeves shouted. "These people did nothing wrong. They're just trying to live their lives. They defied the council." Beta Marcus's eyes were merciless. "And anyone who helps them shares their fate." The last thing I saw before darkness claimed me was Kade, still fighting despite the chains, still trying desperately to reach me. And I knew, with terrible certainty, that this time there would be no escape. Chapter 7. The Trial. I woke in a cage, not just any cage, the judgment cage in the great hall where the Council of Alphas convened. I'd heard stories about this place, whispered in hushed tones. Wolves brought here rarely left alive. Kade was in a cage beside mine, already awake, his amber eyes tracking my every movement. Through the mate bond, still whole, still strong, I felt his rage and desperation. "You're awake," he said quietly. "How are you feeling?" "Like I've been darted with enough wolfsbane to kill a bear." I pushed myself up, taking in our surroundings. The great hall was packed with representatives from every major pack in the Northern Territory, and at the head table sat the council, including my father, his face carefully blank as he refused to meet my eyes. "All rise for the High Elder," a voice announced. The ancient wolf who'd overseen our rejection ceremony entered, his ceremonial robes sweeping the floor. He took his seat at the center of the council table and surveyed the room with cold eyes. "We are gathered today to pass judgment on 2 wolves who have committed the highest treason," he began. "Kade Blackwood, Alpha of Bloodstone, and Maya Ashford, daughter of Alpha Marcus of Shadowmoon. They stand accused of violating the sacred law, the prohibition against mating between our packs. How do you plead?" "Guilty," Kade said without hesitation, "and I'd do it again." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The High Elder's eyes narrowed. "You admit your crime? You feel no remorse?" "None," Kade's voice rang out clear and strong. "The only crime here is your ancient law that punishes wolves for following their hearts. Maya is my fated mate, chosen by the moon goddess herself. Who are you to question her wisdom?" "Blasphemy!" someone shouted. "Is it?" Kade continued, his gaze sweeping the room. "Or is the real blasphemy forcing mates apart, causing suffering and death in the name of a grudge so old no one remembers why it started?" My father stood abruptly. "Enough! You speak of things you don't understand, boy. The law exists for a reason." "Then tell us the reason," I interrupted, finding my voice. All eyes turned to me. "Tell everyone here exactly why Shadowmoon and Bloodstone can't mate. What was the original betrayal? What was so terrible that it justifies 300 years of hatred?" Silence fell. My father's face went pale, and I saw something flicker in his eyes. Shame? "Alpha Marcus," the High Elder said slowly. "The girl asks a fair question. Perhaps it's time the truth was revealed." My father sank back into his chair, suddenly looking every one of his 50 years. "The truth," he said quietly, "is that there was no betrayal." The room erupted in shouts and confusion. I stared at my father, not understanding. "What?" Kade demanded. 300 years ago," my father continued, his voice heavy with regret, "the alphas of our packs were brothers. They both loved the same woman, a powerful alpha female from a neighboring pack. She chose one brother over the other. The rejected brother, in his pain and rage, started the rumor of betrayal. He told his pack that his brother had stolen his mate, used dark magic to corrupt the mate bond. It was a lie. But both brothers were too proud to admit the truth, too stubborn to back down. They took their petty jealousy and turned it into a blood feud that has lasted centuries. The silence now was deafening. "You're telling me," I said slowly, my voice shaking with fury, "that hundreds of wolves have died, countless mates have been separated, all because 2 brothers couldn't handle a broken heart?" My father finally met my eyes. "Yes." "And you knew? All this time you knew it was based on a lie?" "The council has known for generations," the High Elder admitted. "But the law had been established. The hatred was real. We believed changing it would cause more chaos than maintaining it." "So you let us suffer," Kade growled. "You let innocent wolves die for your cowardice." I looked around the room at all the assembled wolves, representatives from dozens of packs, all watching this unfold. And I saw it in their faces. Shock, anger, and something else. Doubt. The absolute authority of the council was crumbling before their eyes. "I have something to say," I announced, standing as tall as I could in my cage. "The mate bond between Kade and me, we tried to reject it. We performed the ceremony, said the words, severed the connection. It should have been permanent, but it healed itself. Because true mate bonds can't be broken by words or laws or ancient grudges. The moon goddess chose us for each other, and she made that bond strong enough to survive anything." I looked directly at my father. "You taught me that the moon goddess's will is absolute, that we trust her wisdom above all else. So I'm asking you now, in front of everyone, do you truly believe the moon goddess made a mistake when she chose Kade as my mate?" My father's hands trembled. For a long moment he said nothing. Then, "No, I don't believe she made a mistake." "Then help us," I pleaded. Change this law. End this pointless feud. Let wolves love who they're meant to love, without fear of execution. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. I slammed my hands against the silver bars, ignoring the burn. It's exactly that simple. You're the council. You have the power to change these laws. So change them. Start with us. Let us live, and then start fixing all the other damage this stupid feud has caused. The High Elder stood slowly. The girl speaks with wisdom beyond her years. Alpha Marcus, what say you? Will you condemn your daughter to death for a law based on lies? Or will you stand with her and begin to heal centuries of pain? Every eye in the room turned to my father. He looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw the internal war raging in his eyes. Pack law versus fatherly love, tradition versus truth, fear versus courage. Finally, he stood. I say the law is unjust, and I vote to abolish it. The room exploded in arguments. Some alphas shouted their support, others their fury. But one by one, more voices joined my father's. The Riverside Pack votes to abolish. Silver Peak stands with Shadow Moon. The Western Territories support the change. The High Elder raised his hand for silence. Then let it be put to a formal vote. All those in favor of abolishing the law prohibiting Shadow Moon and Bloodstone matings, signify by raising your hand. My heart pounded as hands rose across the room. More and more, until it was clear. The majority supported change. The motion passes, the High Elder declared. The law is hereby abolished. Kade Blackwood and Maya Ashford are free to complete their mate bond without fear of retribution. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. It was too much, too sudden, too impossible. Kade's cage opened first, then mine. We stumbled toward each other, and when his arms wrapped around me, I finally let myself believe it was real. We're free, I whispered against his chest. Kade, we're actually free. I know. His voice was rough with emotion. My brave, beautiful mate. You changed everything. Around us, the council was already dissolving, alphas arguing about implementation and next steps. But I didn't care about any of that. All I cared about was the man holding me, the mate bond singing between us, and the future we could finally build together. Chapter 8. The Reckoning. The victory should have felt complete, but as the great hall emptied and the reality of what we'd accomplished sank in, I felt my father's gaze on me. He stood alone at the head table, looking somehow smaller than he had before. I need to talk to him, I told Kade quietly. Are you sure? His arms tightened protectively. After everything he put you through, he's still my father, and he saved us in the end. I pulled back to look at Kade. I need closure. Can you give me a few minutes? He studied my face, then nodded reluctantly. I'll be right outside. Call if you need me. After he left, I approached my father slowly. Up close, I could see how much the past months had aged him. New lines around his eyes, silver threading through his dark hair. Maya, he said hoarsely, I don't know where to begin. I'm sorry, seems inadequate for... You knew, I interrupted. You've known for years that the law was based on a lie, and you still tried to enforce it. You were willing to let me be executed rather than stand up to the council. I know. He couldn't meet my eyes. I was a coward. I told myself I was protecting the pack, maintaining order, honoring tradition. But the truth is I was just afraid. Afraid of change, afraid of what challenging the council might cost me. It almost cost me everything, I said, my voice breaking. I thought you'd choose pack law over me, that I meant so little to you that you'd watch me die for loving someone. You mean everything to me. Now he did look at me, and I saw tears streaming down his face, the first time I'd ever seen my alpha father cry. You're my daughter, my pride, my joy, and I failed you in the worst way possible. I chose cowardice over courage, law over love. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know. I will spend the rest of my life trying to be the father you deserved all along. Something in my chest cracked open. He wasn't perfect. He'd made terrible choices. But he was still my father, and he'd ultimately done the right thing. I'm not ready to forgive you yet, I said honestly. What you did, what you almost let happen, that's going to take time to heal. But I took a shaky breath. But I'm willing to try. If you're willing to really change, not just the law, but yourself, then maybe someday we can rebuild what was broken. Relief flooded his features. That's more than I have any right to ask for. Thank you, little wolf. He opened his arms, hesitant, asking rather than demanding. After a moment, I stepped into his embrace, letting myself be his daughter again, if only for a moment. I love you, Maya, he whispered against my hair. And I'm so damn proud of who you've become. You were braver than any of us. You changed our entire world. We changed it together, I corrected. In the end. When I finally pulled away, Kade was waiting just outside the door, his expression carefully neutral. My father saw him and straightened, Alpha to Alpha. Blackwood, he said formally. I owe you an apology as well. I judged you before I knew you. Let ancient hatred blind me to your worth. You're a good Alpha, and you'll be good for my daughter. I can see that now. Kade inclined his head. I love her more than life itself, Alpha Marcus. I swear to you, I will spend every day earning the gift the moon goddess gave me. See that you do. My father's voice held a hint of alpha command, but also grudging respect. Because if you hurt her, ancient laws or not, I will end you. Fair enough. Kade's lips twitched into an almost smile. I'd expect nothing less from her father. They clasped forearms, not quite friendship, but the beginning of something. Understanding, perhaps. Mutual respect. As we left the great hall together, Kade's hand found mine, our fingers interlacing perfectly. The mate bond hummed contentedly between us, whole and strong, and finally free. What happens now? I asked as we stepped out into the sunlight. Now? Kade pulled me close, amber eyes warm. Now we go home. To Bloodstone or Shadow Moon, whichever you prefer. Or hell, we can build our own pack if you want. The point is, we get to choose. Together. Together, I echoed, smiling up at him. I like the sound of that. He kissed me then, soft and sweet and full of promise. Around us, wolves from both packs watched, some with disapproval, but more with curiosity, with hope, with the dawning realization that change was possible. We'd survived rejection, banishment, and a centuries-old blood feud. We'd faced death and come out the other side stronger. And now, finally, we could simply be what we'd always been meant to be. Mates, partners. Two halves of one soul. The forbidden had become forever. And our story, our real story, was just beginning. Epilogue. 1 year later, the ceremony was beautiful. Not the rejection ceremony from a year ago, but a proper mating ceremony, the kind every wolf dreams of having. The stone circle was decorated with wildflowers. Hundreds of wolves from both Shadow Moon and Bloodstone gathered to witness, and the full moon hung overhead, like the moon goddess herself was smiling down on us. I stood across from Kade, wearing a dress of silver silk that seemed to glow in the moonlight. He was devastatingly handsome in formal black, those amber eyes fixed on me like I was his entire world. Because I was. Just as he was mine. We gather tonight, the High Elder announced, the same one who'd nearly ordered our execution, now presiding over our union, to witness the mating of Alpha Kade Blackwood and Maya Ashford. 2 wolves who defied impossible odds, who changed our laws and our hearts, who reminded us all what the mate bond truly means. He turned to us. The bond between you has already survived more than most mates face in a lifetime. It has been broken and healed, tested and proven. But tonight, You make it official before your packs and the moon goddess. Are you ready? Yes, we said in unison. The ceremony was simple, but profound. We spoke our vows under the full moon, exchanged the traditional marks, biting each other's necks to leave permanent mating scars, and finally, the High Elder bound our hands together with silver ribbon. By the power of the moon goddess and the authority of the council, I declare you mated, he proclaimed. 2 souls joined as one, now and forever. The crowd erupted in howls of celebration. Wolves shifted, their songs rising to the moon in a chorus of joy that sent shivers down my spine. Kade pulled me into his arms, kissing me deeply as the mate bond flared between us, brighter and stronger than ever. When we finally broke apart, both breathless and grinning, I saw my father standing at the edge of the crowd. He was smiling. Really, genuinely smiling. Beside him stood Cade's beta, and several members of both packs, mingling freely for the first time in 3 centuries. We did it, I whispered to Kade. We actually changed everything. You did it, he corrected, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. You had the courage to stand up when everyone else was too afraid. You're amazing, little wolf. We're amazing together, I said firmly. That's the point of mates, remember? The celebration lasted until dawn. Wolves from both packs shared food and stories, old enemies becoming new friends, and slowly, so slowly, the wounds of centuries began to heal. As the sun rose, Kade and I slipped away from the festivities, walking hand in hand into the forest that bordered both our territories. The place where forbidden had once meant death now simply meant the space between 2 allied packs. I have news, I said as we reached a quiet clearing. I was going to wait, but I can't keep it in anymore. Kade turned to me, concern flickering across his face. What is it? Are you okay? I'm pregnant. Time stopped. His eyes went wide, his mouth falling open. We're having a pup, I confirmed, laughing at his shocked expression. The healer confirmed it yesterday. I'm about 6 weeks along. The joy that transformed his face was indescribable. He let out a whoop of pure happiness, picking me up and spinning me around. When he set me down, his hands went immediately to my still flat stomach, cradling it with reverent gentleness. A pup, he breathed. Our pup. Half shadow moon, half bloodstone. The first of a new generation born without the weight of the feud. The first of many, I hope, I said, covering his hands with mine. We're going to fill this forest with pups who grow up knowing both packs as family, who'll never understand why their ancestors hated each other. We're going to change the world, Kade said, his voice full of wonder. 1 generation at a time. I looked around the clearing, at the sunlight filtering through the trees, at the man I loved more than anything, at the future stretching out before us, full of possibility and promise. A year ago, I'd stood in a stone circle having my heart broken, rejected by the mate I'd only just found. I'd thought my life was over, that I'd never know true happiness. I'd been so wrong, because sometimes the hardest trials lead to the greatest triumphs. Sometimes forbidden love becomes the kind that changes history. And sometimes, just sometimes, the moon goddess has a plan far better than anything we could have imagined. I was Maya Blackwood now, mated, loved, and soon to be a mother. The girl who'd been willing to sacrifice everything for her mate had found a way to have everything instead. And as Kade pulled me close, his lips meeting mine in a kiss that promised forever, I knew with absolute certainty. This was only the beginning of our happily ever after. And there we have it, my lovely listeners. The forbidden became forever, and love conquered all. I hope Kade and Maya's journey touched your heart as much as it touched mine. Sometimes the obstacles seem insurmountable, the odds impossible, but true love, real, fated mate love, always finds a way. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this story with anyone who believes in love that defies all odds. Your support means the world to me and helps me bring you more epic romances. Until next time, my lovely listeners, remember, true love is never forbidden when it's written in the stars. Keep believing in fated mates, in second chances, and in the power of love to change the world. This is Dora, signing off from Dora's Romance Audiobooks. Sweet dreams, and may your own love story be just as epic.